What's up everybody, this is Ven bringing you another MOC Spotlight where we take apart what you build. For today's episode, we'll be taking a look at Atlas V2, created and posted to our message boards by Atlas1. Get ready folks, it's a self-MOC. Now of course, before we get started, there are three fundamental qualities I'll be focusing on throughout the review: the overall appearance of the MOC, the build of the MOC itself, and whatever concepts and ideas that may have been put into the MOC's creation. I'll be forming a personal opinion on this MOC based on each quality, determining where the MOC excels and where it could use a bit of improvement. So with that said, let's get this started. So, is this a self-MOC or is it a preview of the new Pacific Rim movie? A little hard to tell, but either way, what we have here is colossal in size. And I mean, this thing is so big that each of its limbs look like they could be the equivalent of two buildable action figures stacked on each other. And I mean, it is a big MOC, but what really impresses me is just how clean it looks. You know, with this MOC, there are a lot of different parts put into it, and especially bionicle parts, which are all big and kind of clunky specialized parts that really vary in terms of shaping and texture. But with this MOC, everything is put together so seamlessly. It all looks like it flows so well. It doesn't even look so much like a MOC at all. It looks like it could be its own action figure. Like if you specifically looked at the head and the chest, you can see that the parts are arranged in a very particular way to achieve the shape that we ended up with. And that's really cool. It's like you're sculpting with bionicle parts. And I've seen this technique time and time before, and I am always impressed, because it always results in something really unique and just awesome to look at. Like, I'm sitting here really trying to figure out how he managed to get all these parts fitted together in the chest, like these shield pieces kind of off to the side and the tubing that kind of trails diagonally. And while I am focusing mostly on the chest right now, it's worth pointing out that this sort of craft and engineering with the parts is held pretty dang consistent throughout the entire MOC. So much to the point where the whole thing looks stylized and really just straight out of a movie. Like these patterns that you can see on both the biceps and the thighs. Really nice touch, and also makes the MOC look much more cohesive. And I'd even say the colors are really well balanced as well. The MOC is pretty much primarily silver, but it is hard to tell because there's also a fair amount of red on this MOC. It looks to mostly act as a sort of secondary color, seeing as most of the bulk is made up of the silver. Either way, it looks great, and the only thing I think I have to complain about in terms of appearance would probably be just the proportions. Like, for the upper body, everything looks fine. It's the lower body that seems a bit off, and for me it seems like the legs are a bit too short for the rest of the MOC. They look to be just about the same length as the arms, but really they should be longer and perhaps a bit bulkier, because aside from the legs, everything else looks proportionally realistic. So if that's what you were going for, I think that would definitely be the only thing that would need adjustment, because everything else looks great. And I do hope that such a fix works out well, because this MOC looks already well built as it is. It's got great coverage, it looks really solid, and it's cool to see that it doesn't really have any weak spots. Like, there are no Technic elements or any parts of the interior build that are exposed. You would usually see such a thing in the joints, in say like the elbows or the knees, but even these look completely covered up. I'm not even sure if this thing could really articulate that well because of that, but hey, might be for the best in order to keep it balanced. It's also really cool to see that this thing has arm blades that seem to have a function where they can just pop in and out, and it looks to work seamlessly. Like, you almost can't even tell that they're there in the pictures where they're not exposed. And one more note to make, and it's a small thing that I really appreciate about this MOC, is the integration of the little Exoforce robots here in the heels of the MOC. Looks like they can either be seated comfortably on the MOC, or they can just pop out to be deployed in the battle or something. I don't know, but I thought that was really clever. Overall, this thing is fantastic, especially when you put it into comparison with Atlas V1, which is the previous version of this same exact MOC, and yet it doesn't even look the same at all. And V1 was pretty impressive in terms of size, but it completely pales in comparison to V2. And I think it goes to show that you need a lot more than just a big sized MOC and a huge parts collection in order to make a good looking MOC. Nah, son, it takes a lot of creativity and a lot of second guessing yourself. It takes the ability for you to step back, look at your creation, and think, I could make this way better. I'm gonna do this and that I'm gonna add some Exoforce robots to the heel, and that's basically all I gotta say about this MOC. So congrats to you, Atlas1, for making it onto the MOC Spotlight. You definitely deserve it, and hope to see more out of you, perhaps Atlas V3 if that ends up being a thing. And good on you for working almost completely with just Bionicle parts. I mean, with a MOC that ended up looking this clean, you should be proud of yourself. Now, of course, for the rest of you viewers, if you haven't already, please consider posting your own MOCs to our message boards at board.ttbchannel.com. Share whatever you've got under the LEGO Creations category, and simply by doing so, you immediately earn yourself a very high possibility of becoming featured on your own MOC Spotlight in recognition of whatever creative ideas you have to bring to the table. So I hope to see you all there, and if not, I do thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.